Hey everyone, this is Helena and I'm here with Adrian Hart today. Welcome, Adrian.
Hi, Helena. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me back.
You're welcome. I'm so excited to jump into this topic today. Today, we're going to be talking about how men test women. We're going to be sharing 6 ways that he might be testing you and what to do about it. This is such an important topic. It's something we get asked about all the time. And I want to start out by saying that this is sometimes subconscious. So I don't want you to think of it as a negative thing, like a man is purposely trying to test you and critiquing your every move, because that's not it at all. Men just do this sometimes without even realizing it when you're dating or in a relationship. So, Adrian, is there anything you want to say before we get started with the first way that men test women?
Oh, I'd love to jump in and I couldn't agree with you more. A lot of times men do these things like they test us, but they're actually trying to find out, are we that quality woman that they're really seeking for something long term? It doesn't mean they're a bad guy. It just means that, they're answering, like you said, the call of something innate, something that's in them that they don't even know they're doing. Or perhaps there is some part of them and they're completely aware of it and they're seeing if you can, meet their standards or their expectations for a partner long term. So it's kind of exciting if you're being a little bit tested, if you notice it, because it often means that you're about to go to the next level with the guy.
Exactly. And that is the perfect segue into the first way that men will test you, and that is testing your interest level. This one's really positive. If a guy likes you and maybe you didn't meet on an online dating site, maybe you met in some other way, you might work together or have some mutual friends. And if a man isn't sure if you'd be interested in him, he might say some things or do some things to gauge your interest. He might start flirting with you over text message. The conversation might turn a little more flirty and less platonic. He might, mention something that he'd like to do sometime to see if that's something you'd like to do. So it's important to become aware of this. If you like a guy and he says that he would love to go skiing this weekend or check out a concert that's playing in your town, to really be encouraging of that and say, oh yeah, that would feel great. And there's all different kinds of examples of this. So Adrian, what do you have to say about this first one?
I love that one. There's a popular video of mine where I talk about how when I met my husband, he was into all these sort of bands and music that I otherwise would have been very closed down about. I was kind of negative about, but I knew that if I really wanted to build something solid and long term with him, I needed to be able to show some openness, some positivity, like you said, Helena, that I'm open to trying something new. So that meant seeing some bands and listening to some music I had never heard of. And while a lot of it's still not my favorite stuff, I have developed an ear for a lot of the things he likes. And this is the wonderful thing about having a relationship with someone, is that they really expand your life in a lot of positive ways when you're open to it and you allow it to happen.
I love that you said that, and that is a perfect jumping off point to the second thing that men kind of test women for, and that is their personality. So like Adrian said, what kind of woman are you? Are you an easygoing, kind of go with the flow type of person? Are you a little more rigid and you like to stick to your routines? A man might test your sense of humor, for example. He might make a comment that's a little off the wall to see if you're going to freak out or take it personally. And again, a lot of times men don't realize they're really doing this. They can test your like fluidity, like, are you going to be a diva? And I'm sure Adrian has a lot to say about that. Adrian, what do you have to say about this whole, this whole topic of men testing your personality or what kind of woman you are?
Oh, Helena, I thought you meant Adrian would know a lot about being a diva. And I was like, you know what? I would. I really, really would. Uh, but it's really, I hear a lot in my coaching practice where women tell me these, seemingly innocent things the man does. For example, you come over to his house, but his baby mama is still there picking up the kids. He could have texted you to tell you she's still here, wait 10 minutes before you come over. Or he could have let you know some sort of information that would prevent an argument or some sort of distress for you, but he didn't. He didn't. And is he testing you? Is he just being dumb? You know, is he being mindless? What's happening here? Well, we don't know, and you don't want to read too much into what he's thinking or doing. But this is a great time to show him, I'm not going to pop off. I'm not going to be a diva. And I'm not going to show, I'm not going to behave like anything unlike a lady right now. So no matter what the situation that you might encounter, remember your option is always there to behave like a lady and keep solid and strong in your feminine energy. Even if that means setting a really healthy boundary for yourself in that moment, whatever it may be. Like you said, it's not about being a doormat. So this is where you really get to show him, I can handle some waves. Waves are going to happen. And here's how I behave when those waves are presented to me.
Perfect. And I love that you mentioned boundaries, because that's actually the third thing that a man will test you for. He might push your boundaries a little bit. Now, of course, if a man is constantly pushing your boundaries, pushing you beyond your comfort level, especially if he knows your boundaries and he's purposely pushing it and trying to take you somewhere where you're not comfortable or anything like that, that's obviously a major red flag. Neither one of us would advise being in a relationship with a man like that. But sometimes a man doesn't know what your boundaries are. And so he might test it a little bit. He might push it. If you say that you have to be home by a certain time because you have to wake up early, he might try and keep you out a little longer to see if you're interested, if you're having a good time. This could look like anything. So Adrienne, I'm really curious as to what you have to say about men testing your boundaries.
I am all about the boundaries. I mean, boundaries are something that even people I come in contact with, friends, they don't have boundaries. They don't know their boundary. They just reach a breaking point and then they explode. And this is the great part about feminine energy, is that you get to be in your body. It's not even so much masculine energy, feminine energy. It's about being in your body and being aware of what's stirring inside of you. So if a man really pushes your limits on the boundary, are you being too nice? Are you being the nice girl and just going along with it and not speaking up for yourself? Or can you really open up and say, it feels so lovely to hang out longer, yet I need to get up tomorrow morning, so I need to go home. And a lot of times with this, a woman has to go broken record, and you just have to keep repeating to the man again, oh my goodness, you make such a convincing argument, yet I have to get home tomorrow morning. So often you just have to hammer home this same message 2 or 3 times for the guy to really listen and understand you're not a low quality woman. You are a high quality woman. And if he's going to be with you, that means respecting your boundaries. Don't you agree, Helena?
Absolutely. And again, this isn't about being a diva, and it's not about being a doormat either. I love how you put that. There's a way to express your boundaries in a very feminine, warm, open way. I love what you said. There's something like, part of me would love to stay out later. I'm having such a great time with you, and like I said, I have to be up early for work tomorrow, but I'm available this weekend, and I'd be free to stay out a little later on this day, or something like that. This can happen with sex too, and men testing what your physical boundaries are. Of course, saying something like, it would feel incredible to sleep with you, and I love kissing you, and this feels really good. And yet that's something I'm actually saving for when I'm in a relationship, or that's something I'm saving for when I feel really deeply connected with a man and I know we're on the same page, or anything like that. So important. Of course, there's all different kinds of boundaries. If you guys have any questions about boundaries or anything, really type that into the comment section. We love hearing from you, and we can create some more videos. Maybe we should create some more videos just on boundaries, because it's so important. So the next thing that men will test you for is if you're using him in some way. This is like a big hot button for a lot of men, especially if they have a lot to lose, right? I have a male friend, one of my best friends. We've been friends for over a decade, and he's married now, but we were friends over 10 years ago when we were all single and dating, and we talk about our dating experiences, and he's really successful. He has a multi-million dollar home and lots of really expensive cars. And he'd always say that whenever he'd bring a woman back to his house, he would describe it as her getting like starry-eyed. And all of a sudden, after she saw the house and the cars, she'd start pushing him for a relationship. And he'd see that as a red flag. So men can feel, worried that a woman is using him for like his resources or something like that, or maybe just using him to fill a role in your life. If you're pushing for a relationship too quickly, a man might start to worry, even on a deep level, that you just want a husband or boyfriend and you'll kind of take the first guy that comes along. So that's where we'd recommend really taking your time and getting to know a man and not being so easily taken off the market, so to speak. Adrienne, what do you have to say about this one?
I love this topic because it really goes both ways. Sometimes you can be an incredibly beautiful girl and you will meet a man who is, yes, dear, yes, everything just the way you like it. There was a time where I dated a man and I happened to be a vegetarian, and he's like, I'm a vegetarian too. And everything I liked, he liked. And everything I wanted to do, he wanted to do. And then, somewhere around the 3.5 to 6 month mark, he was like, I can't keep this up. So it happens with women too, the reverse of that. And just so often, instead of just being really gullible and going all in, really go for that slow burn. Pace yourself in the relationship. Don't let him see you every single night that he wants to see you, and pace yourself and remember that, even on the outside, if everything looks wonderful and he's very successful and very busy, this might also mean he works very long hours and you won't get a lot of attention because he's working a lot. Everything has a flip side to it. So I just think being objective, always being in your body, knowing what you're feeling, just making sure that this relationship is going to work for you. And just be cautious of boy energy nudging you to speed it up and hurry up and tie him down. That's your boy energy talking. And the man is always going to tune into that and feel that. And we want him to feel your heart. We want him to feel your pure feminine essence coming from your heart.
Absolutely. So important. Everything you said is just crucial. I would recommend just rewinding that part and watching it over and over. And it really is true. Men, they want to know that you are interested in who they are as a person, not just for what they can provide for you, or not, like I mentioned, to fill some void in your life. So important. And that brings me to the fifth thing that a man will test you for sometimes, and that is how jealous you are. Your level of jealousy. A man might mention that he's been to a certain restaurant with a female friend of his. He might start mentioning female friends, or maybe an ex, or possibly another woman who might be interested in him. And it's not that they're always trying to purposely make you jealous. Now, that could be happening too. And of course, that might be a little bit of a red flag. But if he's just kind of mentioning these things to gauge your reaction, that could be a sign that he's testing you for this. Adrienne, what do you have to say about this one?
Yeah. And so this is where you want to get a little excited. If he's starting to talk about that other girl or how he used to take his ex here all the time, that's where you want to get a little excited, because I do believe that's a very positive test to be experiencing. So remember, he's not there with her now. Okay, that's what matters. He's not there with her now. He's with you now. And so this is where you get to make it a wonderful, positive memory. And you don't have to put on any sort of song and dance to do that. You just keep showing up, keep being your beautiful, sweet, soft, feminine self, and listening to this man, letting him know that you are the woman that all the other women, you get him. And that's what we want him to feel. You're there, you're in your body, you're listening to him, you're not in the future, and you can enjoy wherever he's at with you. But this also goes back to boundaries and not being too nice. And if you are uncomfortable hearing about an ex, as I would be, especially any sort of redundancy. Once in a while, if it slips up, you're going to let that one pass. But you're able to say, I don't feel comfortable hearing about your ex. Like, one part of me is really curious. I want to know. But another part of me just like, oh, I don't know. And you're able to express that and let him know that you like talking about you and him. And that's what makes you feel good. And talking about an ex just doesn't feel sexy to you. And again, be in your body, find what you feel. And this really is not about being a doormat. A lot of people, unfortunately, misinterpret feminine energy and receiving as doormat, and it's anything but that.
I totally agree. It is absolutely your most powerful place to come from. Setting a boundary and saying no to something that doesn't feel good to you is a hugely feminine energy quality and thing to do. It's so important. And that brings us to the last thing a man will test you for, and that is your tolerance for his independence. This is one of the most important ones. Men, as we all know, they crave their freedom and independence. Not that they want to go be with other women or talk to other women if they're in a relationship. And of course, if that's happening, that's a red flag. But a man might say something, or he might do something. He might pull away and not even realize he's doing this. He might have a lot going on with work or another area of his life. Or he might say something like, hey, just to let you know, I know we normally see each other Saturday night, but I have a friend coming into town, or I made plans with my group of buddies. It could be anything. So, again, it's like some of these other ones. Your reaction to a man either pulling away or telling you that he has other plans or something like that is going to give him a lot of information. Are you someone who's going to cling on to him and try to go everywhere with him? Or are you someone who is okay with his independence a little bit? Adrienne, what do you have to say here?
Pulling away is the big one. They can pull away and just suddenly cancel plans or cancel some sort of routine that you just understood was in place, even though there was no spoken, routine that we always go out Friday and Saturday nights. He'll tell you on a Thursday, I'm thinking about going out with my guys Friday night, and then Saturday I want to go on a fishing trip, and suddenly you have no plans on the weekend. So this is why you always want to keep your schedule really full, keep your life active, so that when he does pull away, you have something else to do. And you're not just, not knowing what to do with your weekend or your evening if that happens to you. And in fact, I really recommend not even getting into a routine if you can, where it's expected of you to go on that date with him, because that's where you want to just always keep your life so rich, so full, so juicy, and full of things you like. And Helena, I actually thought of another way that men can, really, they test us. If you want me to share it, is that okay?
Yes, absolutely. A bonus one. I love it. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a bonus one. Absolutely. So men will sometimes get angry. They'll get really angry, or they'll do something. And if they get too angry, I think they really are testing the water for how much bad behavior you'll tolerate. What do you think, Helena?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad you brought that up. And that is where boundaries are huge, and staying strong in your feminine energy in what feels good to you. And I love that. Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's not that they're purposely trying to hurt you or test you on purpose, but a lot of times a man will do that. It kind of goes along with pushing your boundaries. How do you want to be treated in the relationship, or when you're out in front of other people? It's a huge one. So yes, thanks for sharing that. And this has been a great topic. Adrienne, any last words of wisdom or anything you'd like to share before we close
I,
out?
I really think we covered it. I mean, it's really about how much you're going to tolerate, what you're willing to tolerate, what you'll put up with. And when you tell the man, like, oh, I'm not going to talk, I'm not going to talk when it's this way. I can't talk to you right now. That really draws that line. Again, boundaries. Maybe we should change the title of this to boundaries, but
I
it's
love it.
definitely.
Yeah, something like, wow, this does not feel good to hear this right now, and I'm going to walk away. I'm going to take a break from this conversation. We have so many things we could give you, and tell you about all of these. Of course, these were general, and hopefully your situation fit in here. We talk extensively about this in both of our programs, from Heartbroken to Happily Ever After, and Find and Keep the One Without Coming Undone, because what to do about it kind of varies. If you're in the early stages of dating with a man, Find and Keep the One will help navigate it. Or if you're in a relationship, or if this is a man who's pulled away, or it's your ex and you're trying to get it back, or you're trying to reconnect your relationship or move on from him, there's different things you need to do depending on your situation. So go check those programs out. I'll post a link to both of them in the description of this video. And if you get them both together right now, you'll get the special bundle price. So that's what we have for today, Adrienne. Thank you so much again. And I hope we can do this again soon.
Thanks for having me, Helena. Bye, everybody.